Shalom from the holy city of Jerusalem. We are now in the Hebrew month of Elul, which the rabbis teach us is a very propitious time to return to God. So I'd like to tell you a story. It'll take a while, 15, 20 minutes, about how I, a very non-religious screenwriter in Hollywood, changed his entire life, came to Israel, learned in yeshiva, and became a filmmaking rabbi. So let's go back a long, long time ago. I grew up in a very assimilated home in Massachusetts. We had Pesach matzahs, but we also had a Christmas tree because my parents didn't want my brother and I to feel different from all of our friends in the Gentile, non-Jewish neighborhood where we lived. I went to what was called the Hebrew school in a Reform congregation, and it was a very, very, very watered down form of Judaism. And I really didn't make any kind of connection. In fact, when it came time for my bar mitzvah, the synagogue, the temple where we would go to pray on the holidays, the temple was under construction. And they made an agreement with a local church that my bar mitzvah would be in the church. And that's sort of like what my life was growing up as a Jew in America. It was like growing up in a church, because America is not a very Jewish place. But at that time, I didn't know about it. I just felt I didn't want to have anything to do with Judaism. And after my bar mitzvah, I didn't. So the years went by, and I enrolled in the New York University Film School because I loved to write and I enjoyed watching movies. And my senior year, I wrote a movie that a director from Czechoslovakia, Ivan Passer, liked very much, and he decided he would make it into a feature film starring Archie Bunker, Carol O'Connor, and Ernest Borgnine, and it became a movie. I was 21 years old at the time, and right after that I wrote a novel that was published by Dell Publishing Company, and my career was starting to skyrocket. So I decided I would go to Hollywood and try my luck at screenwriting. I sold 2 movies, 2 screenplays in a very short time. And I had the American dream life. I had a cool pad near Venice Beach. I had a small, well, bigger than this, but MG sports car convertible. Every morning I would go to the health club, a big health club, and do gymnastics with all of the beautiful Californian people. Upstairs in the weight room, I was friendly with Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was just starting out on his career. I had the good life, seemingly, but I felt something was missing. I had an anxiety that something is wrong. I thought maybe if I sell a movie for more money, that'll solve the problem. And indeed I did. I wrote a screenplay. I received $1.5 million. It was amazing. So I had money, but I still felt something was missing. So I thought maybe if I had a prettier girlfriend, then I would feel complete and relaxed and at peace with myself. So I changed girlfriends like clothes. It didn't help. I still felt that anxiety. And then all of a sudden I became sick with a very troublesome disease of the colon called ulcerative colitis, where I would have to run to the bathroom 20 times a day and only blood would pour out. It was an incredible thing. I didn't understand. The doctor said that what we have to do is give you cortisone tablets, a strong dose, and that will turn off the bleeding. So that's what I did. For 8 weeks, I would take 8 tablets then the next week 7 tablets a day, and then the next week 6 tablets a day, until I got down to nothing. And sure enough, the bleeding stopped after the 8 weeks. But after 2 weeks of not taking the medicine, the bleeding came back again. So once again, I had to go on the routine of 8 pills a day, and then 7 pills a day, 6 pills a day. And in the meantime, the cortisone blew up my face like a beach ball. Here I'm trying to impress the women in the sports club. Oh, hi. And I look like Quasimodo. Arnold said, "Hey, Fish, what's happened to you? Why does your face look like a beach ball?" Anyway, it was not very pleasant. Finally, after almost a year suffering from this disease, the doctors told me, "Look, we think we're going to have to cut out the diseased part of your colon, and we'll put a bag instead, and you'll have to go to the bathroom through a bag for the rest of your life." So I thought that was absolutely crazy. So I started a journey of spirituality to try to come to health. And I tried everything. California, Los Angeles is like a big supermarket of all these weird kind of alternative medicines, health foods. And I tried everything, yoga and I Ching, and all of the different drugs that are available in those days. Nothing seemed to help. The bleeding just continued. One day I'm on the beach and I had a friend who was an Israeli. He came from Israel to try to be an actor in Hollywood. And he had grown up in Morocco, moved to Israel. He was from a traditional Jewish family. And he asked me one day, "Fish, why don't you know anything at all about Judaism?" I knew nothing. And his question was a very powerful question because I had gone to college. I had studied psychology and history and science and the languages and literature, everything. But I knew nothing about Judaism, the thing that was closest to me. And I remember that Sigmund Freud said that if there's something that is close to you and you avoid it, you have a psychological block. You're afraid to approach it. You're afraid to confront it. And you try to run away from it. That was exactly my situation with Judaism. And Freud said that the only way to overcome this is to approach it straight on. And in that fashion, you realize that there's nothing to fear. So that very day, I went to a Jewish bookstore in Fairfax and West Hollywood. And there was a Chabad Jewish bookstore. And I bought a Bible. And I bought a book, The Beginnings of Judaism, A Beginner's Guide to Judaism. And I bought a book, Advice, by Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, because I was looking for advice. Then I bought another book. They sold me the Tanya, which is the Bible for the Chabad people, Chabad Hasidim. And I went back to the beach, and I opened up the Bible, and I started reading as if it was a screenplay. And it says the first thing in the Bible, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And my head went like this. Oh, wow, there's a God, and I never paid attention to him. It was a revelation. I kept reading. And you get to, God talks to Abraham. And the first thing he says to him is, Lech lecha, go forth to the land that I will show you. Go forth from the place you are born in Kasdin, and go to the land of Israel. The land of Israel. I didn't know anything about the land of Israel. And as I continue reading, like it's an action movie, God appears to Moses when the Jews are in Egypt, and he tells Moses, take the Jews out of Egypt and bring them to the land of Israel. And over again in the Bible it says, bring the Jews to the land of Israel. Bring the Jews to the land of Israel. The Jews are supposed to live in Israel. And I looked around, and of course Hollywood is loaded with Jews. And New York too was loaded with Jews. But I said to myself, what is going on? Either the Bible isn't true, God forbid, Or the Jews that are living in New York and Los Angeles, they're doing something wrong. They're not supposed to be here. I was very confused. In the meantime, the bleeding worsened and worsened. And in the book about the beginnings of Judaism, I learned about the holiday of Rosh Hashanah, which was approaching. And there's a custom during the holiday of Rosh Hashanah that you go to a body of water and you cast away your sins, kashler. So I went on the first day of Rosh Hashanah to the Pacific Ocean, and I had my quarter-stone tablets, and I threw them away into the ocean. And I said, God, please forgive me. Please forgive me. I haven't paid any attention to you all my life. Take these pills as if they're my sins and wash them away. Make me clean. Let me come back to you. Let me begin life all over again. Heal me without pills, without doctors, without examination, without treatment, just you. And I stopped taking the medicine. And I got really sick, very, very sick. I lost 30 pounds. I had to be rushed to the emergency room of the hospital. I lost so much blood. And they gave me the cortisone intravenously. But when I got out of the hospital, I went back not taking the pills because I knew if I take pills, I'll never get down to the truth of what's the matter. Why am I sick? I don't have to be sick. I'm a young guy. I'm in good shape. Why should I be sick? And I was very afraid that if I don't take the pills, I could die. And that night, I had a dream, a fantastic dream. I walk into a store. It's a thrift shop where they sell old clothes, things like that. And I'm looking around, and the owner says, look, you got to go. I'm closing the store. So I said, well, just give me a couple more minutes here. I saw there was a door. I went through the door. There was another room, and the room was filled with holy Hebrew books, holy, sacred texts, like the Bible and other books that the rabbis had written throughout the years. And all of a sudden, I had a feeling of peace, serenity. I felt so good. No more anxiety, no more worry. I can't explain. And the owner of the store came and said, look, I got to go. You got to leave. I said, please, just give me another few minutes with these books here. I love these books. I love being in this room with these books. And I saw there was another door. So I walked through that other door, and the room was empty, except on the floor, there's a big black box, a giant black box, and it's a tefillin that you wear on the head, on the forehead. And I said, oh, that's what I need. I need that box. And I heard a voice that's clear as my voice now speaking to you, a heavenly voice. And the voice says, that's the solution. You have to attach yourself to God. And I woke up. Whoa. It was so real. It was so real. There was no question. I heard a voice out of heaven. So the very next day, I went to a shul, a Chabad shul, and I asked the Rabbi, can you please put on tefillin for me? I didn't know what it was. He was very happy. And so he put on the tefillin, and he told me to say, Shema Yisrael. So I said it, and for a couple of weeks, I would go back every morning to the shul, put on the tefillin, and I started to feel better, stronger, started to feel healthier. But still, I was bleeding. And I was worried that I was going to damage my colon permanently if I didn't go back on the pills. So I decided that's it. I have to. I can't continue this religious quest. It may be dangerous. So that day, my uncle called, and he asked me, Tzvi, can you take me to the hospital? I need a laser operation, and I won't be able to drive home. I said, sure, no problem. But listen, my aunt, his wife, was a doctor. I said, I'm sick. I need cortisone pills. I don't want to go to my doctor. They do all kinds of examinations. Just have your wife write out a prescription for the cortisone, and I'll start to take it. So he said, no problem, you got it. So I picked him up. I took him to the hospital. He went into the laser treatment room. I stood outside the door of the treatment room, and for 45 minutes straight, I just prayed, please God, heal my uncle. Please God, heal my uncle. Please God, heal my uncle. Like a total nutcase. But in Los Angeles, a lot of people are nutcases, so nobody pays any attention. Anyway, thank God the operation was successful. I took him home, and then when I got home, like always, I rushed to the bathroom, and there was absolutely no blood. The bleeding had stopped, totally disappeared. And I knew in that instant that God had done a miracle for me, as if he took his hand and touched my stomach and threw away the disease, just like I had thrown away the cortisone pills into the Pacific Ocean. The bleeding never returned in my life. I didn't have to take any more pills. I didn't have to do any more examinations, treatment, surgery, nothing. Doctors, I told, could never explain it. And when this incredible miracle happened, I was blown away. The same night, I said to God, God, what do you want from me? Thank you for coming into my life, but how can I continue? I can't keep going on to discotheques and going out with women, different women every night, and living the hedonistic life of a Hollywood screenwriter. Tell me what you want me to do. If you want me to go to Israel, I'll go to Israel. If you want me to stay here in Hollywood and maybe work for a Jewish newspaper or write Jewish movies, I'll stay here. Give me a sign and I'll do whatever you want to do, whatever you tell me to do. So I went to bed in the morning. I woke up, I left my apartment, and I noticed there was something in my mailbox. So I opened it up, and it was a big travel brochure, and on the cover was a picture of Jerusalem, the Old City, and the Kotel, the Western Wall, the Wailing Wall. And the title was, Jerusalem, My Chosen. I got goosebumps all over my body. The night before, I asked God for a sign, what to do, to stay in Hollywood or to go to Israel. And all of a sudden, this travel brochure with my name on it arrives in my home, in my mailbox. Never in my life had I ever gotten anything from any Jewish club, any Jewish organization, any synagogue, nothing. I was totally removed, disattached from the Jewish world. So I was blown away, and I said, that's it, I'm going to Israel. So, as Tevye, the milkman, used to say, to make a long story short, I bought a ticket, and I came to Israel. In Israel, immediately, I knew I belonged. I was at home. It was an incredible feeling. I knew that this is the place I had to live. This was the place I had to be. There was something in the air, a holiness that I had never experienced anywhere. And for a month, 2 months, I just traveled around the country, visiting all the sites, learning about the history. And every time I would return to the Kotel, a rabbi would come up to me and he would say, oh, maybe you want to go to a yeshiva to learn about Judaism? I said, no, I don't want to go to a yeshiva. I want to get close to God. And I would go around praying in all the holy sites, come back to the Kotel, and again the rabbi would come up to me. And one day I said, okay, Rabbi, to make you happy, take me to a yeshiva. So, to make a long story short, he took me to a yeshiva where everybody was dressed in black with black hats. And it looked like Poland. I thought that I was in Poland. It wasn't for me. I was looking for King David, for Joshua. I was looking for Judah the Maccabee. And so I looked around, and finally I found a yeshiva called Machon Meir. That's where I'm sitting now. I'm sitting in the yeshiva in Machon Meir, where I teach Torah now to other kids, young kids who are exploring their way back to Judaism. And thank God, here in the study halls, with all of the Hebrew books, all of the Hebrew texts, I have the same feeling every day that I had when I walked into that room in the thrift shop, loaded with Hebrew books. The only difference is that today, thank God, I can read them and study them, and God has given me the merit, the great privilege of writing commentaries about several of these holy texts, and God's even let me direct and produce a holy movie about the stories of Rabbi Nachman. Okay, good. Here we go. Quiet. Speed.
Hey, what about me?
Hey!
Hey, what about me?
So, Baruch Hashem, everybody should take the opportunity to explore their inner roots, to take time to break away from all the noise on the TV, on the movies, all the things that distract ourselves from getting in touch with our own souls, our own inner voice. Because if we listen to our inner voice, we hear God calling us back, calling us to return. So this year I want to wish everybody a happy Rosh Hashanah, happy holidays, and may God bless the Jewish people. May all of the Jewish people return to Israel, and may we all stand together united against our enemies the world over in order to bring the word of God and true peace and shalom back to the world. Shana Tova, have a happy year from Jerusalem. Shana Hazeh, this year in Jerusalem. Everybody, shalom.